Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Change Your Perspective, Change Your Awareness, Change Your Life. I'm Dr. Michelina, and we are talking about what it looks like to choose life in 7 different categories in our lives that we grow in. And so we talked a little bit about physical, we talked a little bit about emotional, and what we are going to talk about today is one of my favorites, which is mental. And so our mental and our mentality, my cat might jump up here. You know how she gets during these things. There is a link, but also a difference between mindset and emotional set. And I like to talk about them because, believe it or not, the mind transmits on one sort of frequency and the heart transmits on another. Now, if you've never done any research into that kind of a work, check out Dr. Joe Dispenza, okay? Dispenza. Dr. Joe Dispenza. He does a lot of work on the electromagnetic frequency, right? The frequencies that come out of the mind versus out of the heart. And science will tell you, this is not me being smart, this is me researching. Science will tell you that the heart space actually has its own independently operating cell system and its own electromagnetic field that it puts out. And so I say this because I like to distinguish between mindset and heart set. They're 2 different things. Also different is intellect, which we will talk about in the 9 theories of intelligence tomorrow. Okay, so when we're thinking about mentality, the number one thing, and this is the work by Dr. Carol Dweck, okay, Dweck. So if you haven't looked into Dr. Joe Dispenza or Dr. Carol Dweck, you should, because it'll give you a good understanding of mindset and emotional set and how they are different though related. And it is this. The big indicator of your mindset and if you're choosing life or choosing death is if you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And so what does that mean? Well, if you have a growth mindset, it is probably going to look a lot like you're open versus being closed. If you have a growth mindset, some of the things that you're going to, and I'm pulling this up, by the way, this is not my work. So with a growth mindset, you're going to embrace challenge, you're going to accept criticism, you're going to want to learn, want to grow. Knowledge is power, right? And we all have at our fingertips, for the most part, Google. There's no reason why we can't look things up. Now, I get it. Sometimes we don't know what to look up, but you can literally Google any question you have ever, and you will get some kind of a response. That's the benefit of Google, right? So a growth mindset is one that is geared toward, not surprisingly, growth. You're open, you're not attached, you are willing to listen. That is not most people, okay? Most people, right away, I can always tell, have a fixed mindset. It's my way or the highway. I am right. I know what I'm talking about. I don't want to take on these challenges. They give up easily. They want to look very smart, like they know what they're talking about. They ignore feedback. They're like, I've always done it this way. I'm going to always do it this way. Fixed mentality. Now, it is hard sometimes for people to figure out whether they have a fixed mentality or a growth mentality because they're not very self-reflective. And if you're not self-reflective, I can already tell you, you have a fixed mentality. Now, if you are on this channel, you have a growth mentality. I already know that. You cannot listen to me without having a growth mentality. It is not possible. Okay, so anybody who listens to me is growth-minded, open, appreciative, receptive. That's just the audience I attract. Otherwise, I repel them, and fine by me. So, mindset, having a growth mindset. And again, if you're interested in this, check out Carol Dweck's work. Having a growth mindset is like the number one way that you know you are choosing life, because growth and life go hand in hand. Progress, change, they are all aspects of choosing life. So if you have a growth mindset, then you're already choosing life. Most of you already have that, but I'm going to put this here anyway, just in case somebody needs it. Now, if you're choosing life, you're here to grow, and you're like, I don't know, do I need mentality work? I can already tell you, have you ever gone to therapy? Nope. Okay, you need mindset work. I already know. Because There are tools that you get in therapy that you get nowhere else. And so here's a little questionnaire from Dr. Michelina in my book, Choosing Life, 14 Years in a Felony, that is on its route to being published, right? Here are 5 questions you can ask yourself to know if you need or are choosing mindset growth, mindset life, or mindset death. And it is this. Do your thoughts bounce around with no end? Okay. Do your thoughts keep you up at night? Do you know how to track your thoughts? Can you empty your mind? Can you meditate, both guided and not guided? If the answer to the first 2 is no, or I'm sorry, hold on. Yes. If your answer to the first 2 are yes, my thoughts bounce around with no end in sight, and yes, my thoughts keep me up at night. And if your answer to the other 3 are no, which is, do you track your thoughts? No, I didn't even know that was a thing. Can you empty your mind? Absolutely not. And can you meditate? And the answer is still no. You need to do mindset work. Because mindset is the process of understanding and becoming aware of and sifting through your thoughts. Whereas emotional set is understanding your emotions, right? Now, you cannot stop thoughts from coming in any more than you can stop emotions from coming in, but you can get good at observing your thoughts. And too often, too many of us get stuck in our thoughts. So in the same way, I say this all the time, the mind is a galaxy, the heart is an ocean. You know me, I'm always speaking to nature metaphor because everything about us can be understood if we look to nature. That is the same in our mind and our body, in our heart. And so our mind is like a galaxy. And in said galaxy, there's supposed to be space. And too many of us, too often, hyperfixate on all of our thoughts. And when we do that, we cause spiral. Now, if you've ever had a panic attack or an anxiety attack, you know what it is to spiral into your thoughts. Having done it myself, it's not pleasant, it's not fun, and 10 out of 10 don't suggest. The question you should be asking is, Michelina, can you really track your thoughts, control your thoughts, empty your mind? Yes. Yes, you can. I've done it. And it was not without effort and a lot of it. That's the work, right? It's simple. It's not easy. This is how we choose life. When I started meditating, okay, my whole life was in a disarray. This was November of 2018, November 2018, so almost 5 years ago when I started really meditating. And by meditating, I mean just becoming aware of your thoughts. It's a whole process. And I could not sit still in my mind for more than a minute. And my therapist at the time was like, set a timer for 1 minute because it'll give your brain something to focus on. That timer's going to go off. So there's a bit of free advice for you if you want to start choosing life in your mentality, because it helps. And then you go to 2 minutes. Now, without any issue, I can easily sit thoughtless for 30 minutes, an hour. And so the process of becoming aware of your thoughts in such a way that they're not overtaking you is a skill, one that most people do not have the ability to do by themselves. I've never seen someone have that ability. We're just not that good. We're just not that good because we get bogged down in our thoughts. So the more we stay by ourselves, the more the thoughts ricochet all over. If you're doing that, you're choosing death mindset. You're choosing the death energy mindset. It's like, oh, I can handle my thoughts on my own. No, you cannot. Literally, no, you cannot. As evidenced by the fact that they bounce around all up in your head and you stay up at night. No, you can't. Right? So stop being prideful and go get some help. It's not hard. But it is hard, though. It's simple, but it's not easy. We make it hard. And so this channel is so that it's not so hard for you as it was for me, you know? Like, that's my hope. That's why we're here. So all this to say, if you know how to quiet your mind, you're already choosing mental life. You're already choosing that mindset life, right? If you don't, then you're avoiding, which is to say you're stagnating, which is to say you're choosing mindset death, right? And so there is a difference, and I say this all the time, between inputting and outputting. You can input every resource on mindset. You can listen to my YouTube every day. You can listen to every Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins. You can listen to anybody all the time. If you don't output anything, you are not going to do the work. You're expecting other people to do the work for you. Not going to work. You have to output at some point. And there's a disconnect that people have in that. It's like, oh, I can listen all day. But it comes to actually doing it, it's like, ooh, tricky. Awareness comes first, but action comes second. And so eventually you have to do the work of trying to track your thoughts, log your thoughts. And that is all stuff that you need to work with someone on. This is not anything other than what I know to be true, what I've done for myself, but what I've seen, studied, and researched. And so part of why we created a school is so that you could do it all in one place. Mind, body, spirit, right? You're held accountable by many different coaches. You can attend as many classes as we offer, right? So if you want that, the link is in bio. Semester 1 just started. Personal mastery. Yes, I teach there. Yes, you can talk to me real time, one-on-one. Yes, you can ask questions. Highly suggest. I also coach people through this one-on-one. If you are not ready to actually work with somebody who can help you, that's fine. But at some point, that gets to be choosing death. Because like, oh, I know to a certain degree, but I'm not going to do the work. Now you're avoiding again. See, this choosing life is a continual process. And this is why I say, why are we focusing on literally anybody else? Parents aside, why are we focusing on literally anybody else? We have so much of our own work to do and so much of ourselves to focus on. It's like, what are we thinking? This is crazy to me, right? If more people would focus in on themselves, there'd be less gossip, less comparing, less misery, and more mastery. And that is what we are here for. We want that, right? And guys, that's so good. I'm going to write it down because that's what we're lacking in this generation. So I will say this. Your mental health and your mindset has a lot to do with like your personality, I don't want to say traumas, but yes, the adversities that you've internalized that are now traumas, your wounding, a lot of that is mindset. Okay, a lot of that is mindset. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, it requires somebody else to be there guiding you through it because the pickle in the jar cannot read its own label. So when we try to do the mindset work on our own, having never done it before, it is a very slow, if not arduous, difficult task. You want to 10x your growth, work with someone else, especially where mindset is concerned. You know, you can do YouTube and go to the gym and get the results that you want. It'll be faster with a coach, but you can do it. Intellect, you can study a subject that you like on YouTube and learn about it and do it. Mindset, personality, understanding of self, self-awareness. This is what my research discovered, my dissertation. People can't do it on their own. We lack the ability to become self-aware because a lot of us are not self-reflective. So, all this to say, obviously, this is some of the crux of my own work. So this is why I'm like super passionate about it. I have found, and I'm going to read this to you guys from my book, okay? So you're getting it from the raw ass manuscript, okay? The raw manuscript. The only person seeing it's my editor, and I'm still in the process of editing it with her. But if you start with the mind, you can grow in every area of your life 10 times faster than if you start with any other part and come to the mind last. I have worked with spiritual coaches, teachers, preachers, bodybuilders, emotional women, unemotional men, leaders of all kinds. And the number one truth of the matter is, if they don't know themselves, they are lacking in their ability to lead and do their jobs effectively. And that is just a fact. And so when we do the mindset work, everything else comes out of it so much more quickly. And it's the fastest process I have found is to go start through the mind, because we live our lives consciously, but only 5% conscious. So what ends up happening, we function out of 95% of our subconscious. Okay, again, this is scientific research. This isn't me. And 5% of our conscious mind. But the conscious mind has to be involved in the process to some degree. So that's why things like hypnosis, timeline therapy, great diagnostic tools, great things to use, because they bypass the conscious mind, and there's a time and a place for that. I think it's important. But also, we function out of the conscious mind, so we have to call a thing as it is to fully understand it, become aware of it, and change it. 9 times out of 10. Very few times that I've seen it work any other way. And by that I mean I've never seen it work any other way, but I'm just leaving some room for things I haven't seen. Because for every one thing you know, there's like 100 million you don't, right? I don't like to speak too much in absolutes because I'm not God. All right, so all that to say, there is a lot that goes into mindset. So much that goes into mindset. Self-awareness, your morals, your values, your identity or lack thereof, how you process things, how you discern things, how you make choices, how you communicate. All of that comes out of your mindset. All of it. So it is a work to be done. And it all starts with getting a growth mindset. How can I do this? How can I learn about this? Those are questions that a growth mindset asks. Okay, how can I find a solution for this? Okay, right? Rather than, oh, I can't do that. Death mindset, fixed mindset. Oh, I'm too old for that. I wish I could do that. Oh, wow, it's so great that you have that life. I don't. Right? Like that sounds closing. Another tip about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Growth mindset asks questions. Questions open up a dialogue. If you've ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, it's about 100 years old. You should read it. It talks about how to win friends and influence people. And one of the things is ask them questions. We're so busy making statements. Statements close down a dialogue. Can you tell me more about that? Opens up the dialogue. It's like, oh yeah, what do you want to know? Oh, that's nice. Closes the dialogue. And so open versus closed mindset is an indicator of growth mindset versus fixed mindset, is an indicator of choosing life in your mentality versus choosing death in your mentality, right? So there's so much I could say about this. I talk about a lot of it in Seasons and Signs in the Personal Mastery class, which I'm currently teaching right now. So I highly suggest, if this is something you want to work on, go become a member of the Academy. Highly suggest it. You won't just get my teaching, you'll get my colleagues' teachings too, but mindset specifically, we're covering a lot of this. So go to the link in the description, check it out. Otherwise, keep hanging out here, listen to other people input the information. I do have a few one-on-one spots, so if you're interested in mindset specifically and you want to work through it, who are you? What do you want? Why do you do the things you do? Where are you going? What's keeping you from getting there? That is part of my one-on-one program, so reach out to me, see if we can make that happen. Otherwise, hang out here. We're going to be talking more about the 7 ways that we can grow, the ways that we choose life. And if you like what you're seeing on the channel, just like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, grow the channel, and I will see you guys on the next video.